Okay, guys, here we are for our last kind of regular week before thinking about hybrid and getting back to school. So, like we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks, the main goal for early this week, Monday, Tuesday, is to do that bonding assessment. So I'm going to walk you through that here in just a couple of minutes. You'll have 2 days to get it done. You'll have Monday and Tuesday. If I don't see you until Tuesday, it's going to be extremely important that you take a look at this video, look through all the directions, follow those, and if you have any questions, make sure you either show up to office hours or send me a Schoology message. Okay, so bonding assessment due 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday. Wednesday is a no school day. It's kind of a workshop, professional development day for your teachers. So there's no help sessions or anything like that. So take the day off, relax, do what you need to do. Okay, clear your mind a little bit. And then Thursday, Friday this week, we're getting into kind of the finer details or the elaborate portion of our unit. And you're going to do some practicing of balancing chemical equations, starting to think about this idea of the law of conservation of matter. So that activity is there. I'll walk you through what you need to do. So if you wanted to work ahead, you could. You don't necessarily need to wait until Thursday or Friday or class time to do it. That is going to be due Friday, 11:59 p.m. Okay, and then you got a 3-day weekend with President's Day on the 15th. Well, actually, 5-day weekend because of the planning days, and we'll talk more about that when I see you. So let's jump over here into Schoology. We'll talk about the assessment first and then get into the simulation with balancing chemical equations. So chemistry folder, it's not open yet, but you'll go down to the evaluate folder and then open up the directions to the bonding assessment. Okay. So this is going to be, the format is going to be very similar to our atomic structure periodic table one, where you're going to be showing me what you know, you're going to be voicing over something, drawing potentially. So just realize that's what this is going to be like. So make sure you give yourself enough time to do what you need to do to create it, to do it, to film it, and then to upload it. Okay? As you can see in the directions, when you're completely done, just like last time, I'd prefer if you would upload the link. So you'll need to send this over to Google Drive, make sure you have the correct sharing turned on, and then copy and paste that shareable link into Schoology into the submission here so that I can do what I need to do with it. Okay. Also on the table here for you is to do this through Zoom. You would either need to do that Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday, and that is it. Okay, we are not going to be doing any Zoom for this afterwards. So you would need to send me a Schoology message very quickly about when you're going to do that. It can't be done during class. It would have to be during office hours. So Monday, Tuesday from 1 to 3. Those are your options there. Okay, so let's jump into the document here. Take a look at what you're doing. The ideas or the topics that you're being assessed on are there. It's ionic covalent, being able to use Lewis dot structures, draw the whole thing out and explain what's happening with the electrons, and understanding polarity a little bit. Okay, directions are there. It says that you're going to first fill out, or maybe at the same time as you're recording, that's kind of up to you, the questions. There are 4 of them that you need to show mastery for. You're going to record yourself doing that. Lots of different ways to do that, whether I see your face or not, or if I just listen to you. If you can do the whole thing on Notability first and then walk me through it, or you can screen record as you're doing it. It's entirely up to you. Okay. What I'm going to say though is, however you do this, the most important part is not only the drawing part, but more importantly, I think the explanation of what you're doing and why you're doing it. I think if you don't reach mastery, it's probably because you didn't explain enough. Okay, so every step of the way for each of these problems, which I'm going to go through here in just a second, you need to explain as much as you possibly can about what you're doing and why you're doing it. Okay, so let's get into this here. Each question you need to do 4 different steps. Okay, step number 1 is to draw the Lewis dot for both elements. Okay, so you'll need a periodic table to do this, obviously, but that is step number 1. Okay, You'll also do step number 2 in this box right here. Okay, so after you're done drawing out those Lewis dots and talking about what you're doing and why you're doing it, you're going to either circle ionic or covalent. The only reason why you wouldn't circle one of these is if you feel as though these would not bond ionically or covalently. Then you would just leave that blank. Okay. Step number 3, probably the most critical, is to walk me through all of those different steps like we practiced in class late last week. So making sure you draw the arrows, making sure you draw circles, turning dots into lines, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's where that chemistry workbook is going to be super helpful. So walk me through all of those steps, not only drawing, but also verbalizing why you're doing and what you're doing. And then step number 4 in this box is to write the chemical formula for the new compound that's formed. If for some reason you feel as though these are not going to bond, obviously you're not going to draw anything here. And then in this last box, you're just going to write no reaction. Okay, so again, there are four things that I'd like you to try to bond. Okay, and that's the assessment. All right. Again, if you have any questions or anything like that, send me a quick Schoology message. Otherwise, for Thursday and Friday, you have this balancing chemical equation. So it's already here open for you in your upcoming, but it's also going to show up in the elaborate folder. Okay, it's the first one there. So for this, what you're going to do, similar to our build an atom simulation in the explore section, I've given you a Google Doc that you're going to need to fill out. Probably going to be helpful if you just leave it in Google Docs, make your own copy. If you'd like to try to do it in Notability, you can try. But you're going to open up the simulation as well. Follow the directions, answer these as best as you possibly can. Keep trying, be persistent. Balancing chemical equations is one of those things that the only way to learn how to do it is to practice it. Okay, so keep trying. All right. So the document itself, it did something funky, transferring it from a laptop, Google Docs, to the app. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what these arrows and pictures are supposed to mean here in just a second. But essentially what you're going to be doing is working through the simulation. You've got a chemical formula that you're going to need to balance. Okay, and this idea of balancing chemical equations is making sure you have the same amount of everything on one side of the arrow, the left-hand side of this arrow, compared to what you have on the right-hand side of the arrow, and why that's important in this whole law of conservation of mass thing. Okay, so you're just going to follow the directions, answer the questions the best that you possibly can. Okay, and then just work your way through the simulation. All right, part 2, there's a game. I do want you to do that. I want you to do the best that you can. Try to get to all 3 levels and get 5 stars. Screenshot once you've done that. Okay, and like I said, this is going to take some practice. You've got a couple of days to do it, and if you want to work ahead, you can. Okay. Otherwise, up here at the top, you've got the link to the simulation. It is also linked in the Schoology assignment as well. Okay, so we're going to start here with the introduction. All right, that was the first arrow. So start with the introduction, leave the game till part 2. And then the second arrow is you need to turn one of these tools on to really kind of help you understand what's going on here. It doesn't matter what tool, you can use the balance beam or the graph. Okay, and then you're going to start with making ammonia. That's the first chemical reaction formula, and you're just going to add things in here. You have to have at least one of each, and we can see that we don't have an equal amount on either side. Okay, so then you're just going to play around with it until you get a smiley face. Okay, and then you know that it's balanced, and you go through and you answer the questions. From there, you're going to go down to the bottom here and then click on separate water and do the exact same thing. And then finally do the combust methane. When you're all done with that, down here at the bottom, you can see the games there. You'll just jump over to that. And like I said, 3 levels, and you need to get 5 stars on each level. Okay, so that's going to take us through the week. We'll talk about things. If you've got questions, just like always, make sure you ask. All right, have a wonderful week. And we'll see you.